Welcome to African Horizon. Today I want to tackle a few of the myths about Chinese infrastructure investments across Africa. Because unfortunately, a lot of Western journalists and analysts don't know much about Chinese investments in Africa. And a lot of times they are writing wrong information and providing a lot of false myths about what reality is about Chinese investments across Africa. And the unfortunate matter is that that's creating a lot of notions across Europe and North America about Chinese investments that are just not correct. So let me just debunk a few myths about Chinese investments in Africa. First of all, on infrastructure projects across the African continent, a lot of people in Europe and North America think that Chinese companies send only Chinese workers and that only Chinese workers are working on these projects across Africa. Well, that's not correct. First of all, Chinese companies do regularly send Chinese technical staff and technical project managers to projects where they do not have technical staff available locally. However, African workers are working on infrastructure projects across the African continent. Personally, I've traveled across Africa by public bus across Western Africa, Central, Southern, and Eastern Africa, and I've seen it myself on a range of infrastructure projects on roads, highways, ports, etc. In addition, now, as a lot of African workers have been trained by Chinese companies on various projects over the years, a lot of infrastructure projects now are managed both technically but also with local staff by African workers. Take, for example, the expressway now being built in Nairobi, supposed to be completed by February next year. If you travel through Nairobi now, you will see a lot of African Kenyan workers working on building the expressway in Nairobi. Same if you look across a range of projects in Southern Africa. I've traveled, for example, across Mozambique. There, on road development, you could see local Mozambican workers working on projects. So again, these are just some myths. Also, there's another myth about the quality of the infrastructure projects. Again, I've traveled on the roads. I've seen the projects myself at very high quality, in general, very high quality. Now, could there be a few projects where there have been mistakes made or maybe poor quality? That's possible. But if you travel across Europe, how are the roads in Europe? What about North America? I mean, so just to criticize Chinese companies and infrastructure projects because Europeans and in the US have not been able to reach what China is doing in Africa, I think is very, very unfortunate. In fact, what China is doing in Africa with building infrastructure across the African continent is very important. If you look back after the Cold War, the US did not build infrastructure around the world as China has been doing. I think that is one of the cardinal errors in US foreign policy since the US reached preeminence as a superpower after the Cold War. So what China is doing in Africa is critically important. Now, going forward, there will be more infrastructure projects and they are continuing despite the corona pandemic. But what is important for the conversation we're going to have about investments, foreign investments, infrastructure development in Africa, it's important that people now understand the realities as they are. Well, thank you so much for joining. And please remember to subscribe to African Horizon and I look forward to see you again. Thank you.